GST and some other weird countries. So even the tax consultants are still very confused. Hopefully this budget will clarify some of the grey areas as far as GST is concerned. And I can tell you one thing, once GST comes up, if I look at what's going on in Singapore, the whole way of investing is going to change overnight. Example, if you want to buy a commercial property, say for 1 million in Singapore, a lot of people will buy through a GST registered private company and not under their personal name. Because in Singapore, the GST is 7%. If you buy under your individual name, you pay 70,000 on GST when you buy. But when you buy under company, you pay the 7%, the 70,000 Sing dollars, but you can claim back a few months later. So a lot of people do use Sendirian Berhad vehicles and private limited company vehicles and all that. And I think it's also going to happen in Malaysia. You're going to see a shift away from people buying under their individual names to buying under companies. Now, when you buy under companies, again, there's plus and minus. If you buy a residential under company, your loan is maximum 60%. If you buy a commercial, it's maximum 85%. So again, I feel that there's going to be a shift away from residential to commercial property investments. So quite a lot of things are going to change. And usually I always tell people, with uncertainty also comes opportunities. And normally the best time to make money is not in good times, but it's actually, the best time to make money is actually in bad times. Just to share with you, this year alone, to my big shock, when I started in January, I was not expecting to buy any properties. I've already bought 7 properties, I already got loans for 5. And the way I look at it, some of the deals are coming my way to the extent I can't even say no. It is what I call finger licking good. So to my surprise, like I said, even this year I was just thinking of taking a break, not slow down, but surprising deals are coming and we are buying. So I think going forward, with the uncertainty, bad times, people are worried, I think there's going to be more and more opportunities. And I think if you're a savvy investor, you have to be prepared. And this is the best time actually to get good deals, simply because there is no competition. There's less competition compared to maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago. And I think I'll be covering these areas during the convention, and I think it'll be pretty interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Thank you, Milan. I would like to introduce Mr. Chris Tan. Chris Tan deals with everything real estate, and he is a very prominent lawyer and one of founders for Chor Associates. Chris, would you want to share some of your insights?
Yeah, you can add on to that. I'm also an author, but not best-selling yet.
Yes, turning green.
I'm author of 3 books, actually. The last one got to do with real estate, the other 2 no. Actually, I think one of the things that, since the theme of this morning seems to surround the budget announcement and whatnot, one of the things that as a lawyer I like to clarify with all the real estate investor and home buyers for that purpose is this. Almost half of what is in the budget announcement never actually materialize if you really go and check year to year. You have to understand there's a difference between a minister's speech in the parliament than what's actually passed through. Okay, so don't take on the budget announcement as it is per se. There's a lot of things they'll still need to follow through with law and amendment and whatnot. Now, one of the statement that I always made in all my public speaking engagement and in my sharing is to say that there is no real estate if there's no law. Okay, always remember that you can allowed to buy and invest in real estate is because law gives you the protection, and you have to understand how that actually happened. Bring you back to the age of the caveman. You know, you just have to identify a cave and say this is my real estate. But then what happened is that another caveman show up at your cave door. So what happened is that's where the law started. You start to draw line, you start to give protections, and then you have such thing called a title and whatnot to invest in real estate. So what I'm trying to say to a Malaysian investor or foreigner investing in Malaysia, certain fundamental that a lot of Malaysian investors or home buyers or international investor into Malaysia have understand it differently. I try to clarify that is, for example, there's difference between law and policy and politician speech. Okay. Because a lot of us read the headline, but we read without actually knowing the content. Most of the time, the content could completely different from the headlines. So what I'm trying to do is, for example, understanding the fact that we call our public housing scheme here as affordable housing. Again, what does the implementation means, and what does the legal side, what kind of impact on the legal investors in that sense. And we will continue from my team. Actually, this year I've written an article, and in fact it's one of a frequent theme of my presentation. It's called the First 11 for this year, simply because this year is a football year, World Cup and whatnot. But next year we're going to do it up again with a similar 10 legal challenges. So we cannot run too far away from things like GST. Again, what's the impact of RPGT? What is the mindset you need to adjust? RPGT, if you ask me, if you are keen to just to buy and not to sell, really, you don't really need to know anything about RPGT. It's only when you want to sell. Yeah, and again, since it's now like an annual lottery, where you know the result on an annual basis of what happened next year, right? You would really neglect it if you're not selling the next year in that sense. So I will be sharing a lot of things like, for example, the change of the state policies from time to time. Recently, we have Selangor. That make it a very impactful one to raise the bar for foreign investors. And what does this implement, or how does it impact the market? For example, it is not just Selangor. You have to understand the whole of Malaysia is actually United States of Malaysia in that sense. So you have to understand that bit to say that different states have their different policies on real estate. So what about other states? So if you are investing into different state of Malaysia, is different from investing into Malaysia per se. Because we don't have a single tier government. Again, all this you shouldn't be framed by your experience of a previous property investment in Malaysia and always thought that you will be the same everywhere in Malaysia. So these are the things that I will be sharing to just adjust the mindset. And why is it important to understand the legal bit, to ensure that you are different from the rest of the investor, because if you are sophisticated, you should know the law. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, speakers. That was some very insightful information. Mr. Keki, would you like to say something? Okay. Members of the press, if you'd like to ask any questions, now is your chance. Please raise your hand.
From TV3. Would there be any would there be any property?
It's not working.
Will there be any property developers taking part in this event?
Yes, there will be. We have one section where it's an expo section, yeah, which is next to our seminar hall.
How many of them, approximately?
We have 134 booths. So we are looking at about 60 to 70 developers.
All right, next question, please. Raise your hand.
Henry, a blogger. I have a question. What are some of the other key topics you will be discussing during the event?
Well, the most crucial one will be two most crucial one will be the property outlook for the coming 12 months, and also we're gonna have a post-budget analysis. The rest basically will be dealing with like some of the topics that our key speakers have mentioned earlier. And the other aspect will be on the loan side, how to get the loan approval at these trying times.
Maybe you can just give us some snippets or kind of teaser. You see, the Malaysians are very much fearful of what's going to happen post GST. Maybe you could tell us, would there be the property purchasing will be high up or will be lower? How long would it take to recover back? Share some light. Yeah, thanks.
Maybe Doctor can start first, then the rest.
Well, I can't make predictions that we know we're going to work with accuracy. I always say I do have a crystal ball, but it's proven itself to be no more accurate than anyone else's crystal ball. But I can go on the experiences of other countries where GST has been introduced. And usually there's a lot of talk in cafeterias and in newspapers and on television about the effects of GST and will it do this and will it do that. But 5 years after the introduction of GST, it's a non-issue because the population is still increasing. People still leave home and end up getting married and wanting homes of their own. The market keeps on going. When you look back after 5 years, the blip of the introduction of GST is negligible. Everyone thinks it's going to cause an initial, in this case, 6% bump in prices. That turns out not to be true. Even on the transition date, which I believe is the 1st of April, it's not as if all of a sudden from that day on prices will be 6% higher. Homes are being built with pre-GST prices and all that, so it takes a while for the effect to incorporate. Some developers absorb some of it because they fear that if they put a 6% bump on it, they're going to lose to the competition who've only increased it by 5%, some do 4%, so the effect is minimal. I would say that the bigger implication for most people is not so much the financial effects of GST, but just the burden of compliance, the form filling. That's going to be a far bigger challenge, if I can use that word, than the actual financial impact of GST around their investing. So I would say we've got far bigger issues to concern ourselves with than GST, other than making sure we learn how to comply.
Milan, would you also want to elaborate?
Okay, I look at it from maybe 2 points of view. Number one, if you look at before GST, I mean, most of the papers say, which I would agree, there's going to be a lot of transactions that people are going to be fearful there could be a price hike after GST, so that you're going to see a lot of transactions before GST. And I think after GST, probably market is going to be very, very quiet for at least 4 to 6 months, because people will need time to absorb. And I think the developers also are aware of this, and they also want to push as much as they can before GST and capitalize on, probably they have a pre-GST sale or something. I think not just properties, everything else. So my suggestion, you want to have any major expense, you want to renovate your house or whatever, do it before GST. Really, okay? Because I mean, there is going to be at least there will be some price difference. Now, will prices go up by 6% after GST? To me, I don't think so. End of the day, it all boils down to demand and supply. If developers want to increase 6% and nobody buys, they have to again lower down their prices. So end of the day, I think the demand and supply is a bigger factor at play rather than GST. Now, the other thing, like I said, a lot of things are going to change is the way your compliance costs and things are going to change.